Marketer of the Day, Episode 724, SavvyCard. Use a business card mobile app to grow through referrals with David Etheredge. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We are here with David Etheredge, who is the primary evangelist at SavvyCard.com. And let me ask you a question. If you meet someone either in person or at some kind of networking event and you exchange business cards, what usually happens? Well, probably after a number of days or weeks, their business card or your business card ends up getting crumpled up and thrown into the trash. So David has a new solution for us that we're going to hear all about. It's called SavvyCard, which is an app on your phone where you can capture contact details, you can empower your referral processes, you can grow your business, and so much more. So David, glad to be talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. I really appreciate having the opportunity to share our story with you.
Fantastic. And I'm excited to hear about it because we're all looking to do those little things that add up over time to up our game and be a little bit better than everyone else out there. So what do you have for us today as far as yourself and your story and SavvyCard and all that good stuff?
Well, so SavvyCard has been around for a number of years. Our first industry that we went into was the real estate industry. We've got like 180,000 realtors on the platform, and they use it not only for for sort of direct prospecting at networking events and when they meet people out and about at Starbucks or out in the world. But they also use it as a social media and a search engine optimization tool as well. And so it's sort of like a Swiss Army knife for a lot of different marketing and prospecting activities. But the most powerful way to use it is the way that you described. I mean, when you meet somebody for the first time and you identify them as being a likely candidate for doing business with you, like a quality prospect, it just doesn't make sense to hand a business card to them and then let them walk away in control of whether or not follow-up occurs, right? I don't think anybody's ever taught a sales, seminar where they said it's a good idea to let your prospects, control the opportunity. So I think today with the privacy laws and the way that people are now ignoring phone calls and text messages from unknown numbers, it's even more difficult than ever to sort of follow up with somebody and break through all their different barriers to actually build a relationship with them. And that's what SavvyCard's all about.
Fantastic. And you're so right that these prospects, when they're in control of what details they give to you, they miss out on things. Like you said, people don't answer phone calls. So I'll get a business card. And first of all, I'll look at it days later and I'll say, well, there's no picture of the person. I have no idea who this person is. I think I know who it was. And then maybe there's no website or there's no mailing address or there's some like AOL.com address or something like that. And there's just not enough ways for me to get in contact with person, and usually that lead goes by the wayside. So what's the better solution? If business cards don't work, since you said that's kind of the easy place to jump in, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit, business cards don't work, so instead using this app is better. So how does that work exactly? Like you say install this app on your phone and then kind of go from there?
Yeah. So what's cool about it is it's something called a cloud application, right? So you don't actually have to ask the other person to install anything on their phone. People may remember an app called Bump that was sort of popular maybe 7 years ago, and Google actually bought them. And with Bump, both people needed to download the app, which is sort of crazy, right? Because if you're meeting somebody at a networking event, or you're standing in line at Starbucks, or you're at a trade show, you don't want to say to them, look, I'd like to give you my contact information, but go take 5 minutes and download this app first, right? That's not better than handing out a business card. So SavvyCard uses a technology that's called progressive web applications, but we like to simplify that and just call it a cloud application, right? So it's an app that lives in the cloud. You can share it by text or email or social media to anybody that you meet. And they don't have to download anything. They just click on a link and it opens on their phone or on their laptop or desktop or tablet. It works on any device, regardless of what operating system you're using. So the rule of thumb is if the device has a web browser, then it can open a SavvyCard cloud application. So what you do when you meet somebody is instead of handing them a business card and then hoping that, they're going to type your contact information into their address book, which most people aren't going to do, and then following up and probably going to voicemail because they don't recognize your number, what we do is we teach a really simple system called share and text. And share and text uses SavvyCard to create a much, much better, much more engaged sort of connection between you and the person and put you in control of following up. So you want me to walk you through how it works?
Yeah, and I'm not sure is it easy for us to just do a quick demo and add each other on SavvyCard? Is that something that can be done in a few seconds?
Yeah, absolutely. If it wasn't easy, this wouldn't work, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my SavvyCard on my phone, right? And I wish I could share the screen with you, but basically my SavvyCard is an icon on my phone, just like Android or Apple applications. And the icon shows a picture of my face with my name underneath it. So, I put it into the menu bar at the bottom of my home screen, right next to my email client and my phone dialer and so forth. And so whenever I meet somebody, I would use what we call the 13 magic words. And I would say, Robert, nice to meet you. Can I text you my business card and follow up with you later? Right?
Yes.
And sort of two things happen. The first one is if you say no to me, then you've just immediately disqualified yourself as a good lead. Okay? Because the reality is I don't want to follow up with people who don't want to talk with me. And so the key there is if somebody won't give you their mobile number, then they're really not interested in either building a relationship with you or in whatever product you're selling. Okay. So when you ask them the 13 magic words, can I text you my business card and follow up with you later? If they're interested in your product or building a relationship with you, they're going to say yes. And so, Robert, can I text you my business card and follow up with you later?
Yes. You ready for my number?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I stay logged into my card so that whenever I get a number from somebody, I just have to touch my face on my home screen and open up my card, and then I'm able to put in your name, which is going to be Robert Plank, and then take your phone number. So go ahead, Robert.
Area code 408 277 0904.
All right. So I just sent you my card. And when I sent you my card, SavvyCard automatically prompts me to download your contact information into my phone. So I just added you to my address book, and you just got my SavvyCard through your mobile number. And if you click on the link that I sent to you, it'll open up my SavvyCard on your phone immediately. So you don't have to remember your password or go download an app or anything. So within just a couple of seconds, you're now in my address book. And when you open my SavvyCard on your phone, it's going to prompt you to download my contact information into your address book. And so within a few seconds, we're both in each other's address books. And then what I'm going to do, because you're now in my address book, is after we talk, maybe 30 minutes later or something, I'm going to follow up with you by text. And I'm doing that right now. So I'm going to share my SavvyCard to you because you're in my address book. And if you want to, I don't know if you can show this to your, to your listeners, but you'll see how I'm going to switch the whole concept of follow-up from following up by email or following up by phone to starting a conversation with you in real time using text messaging. So you should have gotten my follow-up.
Yeah, and so we're only recording audio, but as far as I got that text message a few seconds ago, I clicked on the link, and now there's your homepage with your picture and icons for call and email, text, and share. A pop-up came on to add you to my contacts, and then you said that you just sent the follow-up, and it said, great meeting you, and then another link, which I'm clicking on now, which is your business card again. So cool.
Yeah.
So it's like I opted into our communication.
That's the key, right? So in this world we live in where people don't want to be bothered by telemarketers and robocallers and stuff like that, it's so important to get people to give you permission to follow up with them. And we all sort of understand that starting a conversation with a prospect by text message is like 100 times more powerful than trying to reach out to somebody by email, where you're going to be fighting with hundreds of other emails in their inbox, or calling them, right? Because let's say that we got done with this podcast and 30 minutes later I call you. You might be in another podcast, or you're out to lunch with your coworkers or something. So I'm intruding in whatever you're doing. But text is asynchronous, right? It gives you the power to follow up or to read that text whenever it's convenient to you. And so we all recognize that's a more powerful way to do it, but you can't text people without their permission because it irritates them. It pisses them off. So the bottom line is, and here's a telemarketer calling me right now, and I'm not going to answer, but the bottom line is, when I text you my card and get permission to follow up with you, and then I follow up with you, with a text message and input my card into the text message so you see my face and you recognize who it is, you're an order of magnitude more likely to respond, and it increases the likelihood we're going to close business by over 100% based on statistics that we've been able to pull from different sources. So it's a very powerful mechanism of building relationships with prospects that you meet.
Yeah, and this is so thought through, because like you said, when you send an email, it might come days later along with 200 other emails, and we're too busy to reply to it. When a phone call comes in, I'm afraid of it. It's a robocaller or a telemarketer. I'll usually check my voicemail maybe 2 weeks, 2 months later, and then never get back to anyone who left a message. But when it's a text message, and it's maybe not exactly immediate, but it's somewhat of a follow-up where it's easy to read, it's low commitment to reply really quickly, and even if it's just quick, thanks for having me on your podcast kind of thing, that works, right? That's more of what we're looking for as far as the communication in this day and age.
Well, and think about it. It's interesting, right? So if all I say is thanks for having me on your podcast, you're going to respond and say, yeah, I enjoyed it, right? So there's no pressure. There's no sales pitch. But if I follow up with you in like 30 days through that text message thread, and I say, hey, Robert, I've got an event. I was wondering if you might be interested in participating or something like that. You're now looking at my SavvyCard in the text message, which has my face, my name, everything. But you also are seeing that you interviewed me for a podcast, because I've placed that in the text message as a reminder. Okay. So now I'm able to provide context to you whenever I follow up with you about how did we meet? Who am I? Why should you have a conversation with me? Right. Or why should you respond? So it's just a much more powerful way to prospect and to build relationships, even if it's with somebody that you're not sure how whether you're going to sell them product or anything, but you want to maintain a relationship with them. It's a much more powerful way to sort of do that. And it increases the likelihood in the future that they will, respond favorably when you reach back out to them. So the other thing I wanted to point out is, on my SavvyCard, one of the buttons is an About button. And if you click on that, you can take a look at this later, there's embedded video there of my TEDx talk and a video embedded there related to my company and what we do. And so depending on what I'm trying to get you to do, right? If I was trying to get you to take a look at our products, right? I might say, hey, watch the video under my About button about SavvyCard for Business or whatever it is. And then you would be able to go in there and learn about our products within a few seconds of me sharing my card to you. And you think about how you do that today. You hand them a business card and say, my URL is on there. I hope you go to the website and check out our podcast or check out our products or what have you. So this makes everything much more immediate. You're able to get people engaged, and while you're standing there talking to them, you can get them to watch, open up and watch your video, or open up and look at your products, or open up and connect with your podcast, or follow you on social media, or whatever it is you're trying to get them to do. And it's just a much more effective way to do it.
Yeah, and as you know, like there's sometimes when we have people on our podcast and we're looking to maybe not necessarily like close them or get into business with them, but sometimes we get people on our podcast that we want to get to know better. And then sometimes people get on my podcast and they want to get to know me better. And I feel like there's been so many missed opportunities when sometimes it was the right like coaching package or the right like platform or service to buy, but just the timing wasn't right. And then sometimes the follow up happens, months later or weeks later, and I think back, oh yeah, I remember that person. They were so close to landing me, to closing me, but only if there was like this about page or this sending of the link where they followed up and there was like a specific thing that they wanted me to do. Because sometimes someone comes on a podcast and they say, well, do you want to check out our website later on? And I do. And then I'm thinking like, well, why am I here? Or why did they send me? But if it was part of a follow-up with the link and then like the exact message and here, I thought you might be interested in this for this reason, then that I would know why I was about to buy from that person. I would know why I was checking out that person's website instead of just wandering back on there later on.
Yeah. So I had this happen to me a couple of months ago. I was at a trade show, and we sell our real estate product to real estate association and multiple listing service executives, right? And a typical contract, like one of the contracts we recently signed was with California Regional MLS, and there's 100,000 real estate agents. So we got 100,000 new users through that contract. But the contract wouldn't have happened had I not have used the SavvyCard share and text method with the CEO of this MLS. Okay, I was introduced to him at a trade show, and I was he was on his way someplace, and it was going to be one of those situations where I was introduced to him. He asked me for a business card. I was going to hand him a business card. He was going to leave. It was going to go into his pocket in a stack of other business cards, and he probably never would have thought of me again. And if I called him back a month later, I would be like, "Oh, you guys, you remember you and I met at this trade show for a couple of seconds?" And so creating that context to sort of reestablish the relationship would have been difficult. But what I did instead was I said, "Let me text you my business card, and I'll follow up with you later." And I used the process we just did. And within an hour or two, I'm having a conversation with him through text message. And I've designed a follow-up program where I follow up by sending links to articles and information that I know are going to be relevant to my customer, and just doing it to create value for them. Hey, you at the show, did you see this article about, something important, to the industry? And what it allowed me to do was build a relationship, which allowed me to get a second meeting, which allowed me to pitch our product, which allowed me to close the deal. So it was a deal that was worth, 6 figures annually for us. And it all started with being able to cut through all the noise and build a relationship directly with him that I could not have done with a business card.
Fantastic. So there are so many misconnections, missed opportunities that people out there going to these trade shows or just people that we meet all the time that we're missing out on, that they need to be going through this process and asking people if we can send them our SavvyCard. That way they can opt in. That way they can see our details. That way we can follow up. And you said when we began talking that this is great for meeting and networking, but there are also some other advantages such as search engine optimization and things like that. So in these last few minutes of our discussion, are there any maybe lesser known features or advantages to using the system that people should know about?
Yeah, if people want to see this in action, the search engine optimization, it's really important for people who want to own their personal brand, which, I think podcasters are in that category. Real estate agents are in that category as well. But authors, celebrities, and anybody that wants people to find them when they search for them by name on search engines, instead of finding, a LinkedIn page where there's 40 other people, with the same name, right? And so if people want to go search on Google for the name Brenda Carnegie, Carnegie, Brenda is a realtor in Tampa, and her SavvyCard comes up number 1. And she has a second SavvyCard that comes up number 2 for her name. And it's beating out a lot of other people that are competing for visibility for her name. And it's also beating out LinkedIn, Facebook, Zillow, and all these other platforms that use her name to sell advertising, right? To create value for their own platforms. And so people are always asking me, well, how did she do that? Did she spend a lot of money on search engine optimization? And I tell them, no, all she had to do was use her card. The more she uses her card, the higher she ranks in search for her name. So it's free. It's not, you don't have to pay a search engine optimization company. You just have to use your card. And one of the ways she uses her card, and this is the last sort of tip I'll give you guys on SavvyCard today, is the share button allows you to share the card to individuals by text or email, but it also allows you to share your SavvyCard to social media like LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook. And so she regularly shares her card to Facebook and LinkedIn. And then when she shares it, she'll post information or links to articles or links to podcasts that are relevant to her potential customers. So after this podcast is over, when you publish it live, I'm going to share my SavvyCard to Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm going to paste a link to your podcast in my share. And I'm going to say, if people want to learn more about SavvyCard, click on my SavvyCard below, and they'll be able to get in contact with me. So this is really a Swiss Army knife. It's a tool that will allow people to improve almost any aspect of their marketing, their prospecting, and their sales processes. And we have on SavvyCard.com, we have a link to something called Savvy School, where there are videos and downloadable assets where people can learn all the different ways that they can use the product.
Well, you're making a lot of sense here, David, especially with there are a lot of important reminders here as far as the social media marketing and the networking in general, that it's not enough to just market on one platform. It helps to move people around in different areas and say, social media, here's my SavvyCard, and vice versa. And also keeping people up to date on what you're doing and what you're posting, and be active, because if you're the one realtor out there who is posting every now and then helpful tips or check out my appearance on this podcast, and there's all those other realtors out there who don't have a business card, who don't post very regularly, then you'll be the one to stand out. And also, with things being so crowded, it helps to customize things, right? I mean, that's the whole reason why you're on this podcast and you're on other people's podcasts, is to give kind of a personalized, a little bit presentation of SavvyCard instead of the same blanket presentation as everything else. So you're making a lot of sense here. And, those of us who are trying to land that new client or make those sales, we don't know what piece of content out there is going to finally warm people up to us. So it helps to do all these things that you're reminding us of when you're on a podcast, and then later on the links posted, put it on your social media, share your SavvyCard. That way people can communicate with you in the way that they want to be communicated with. And so with SavvyCard, is it free? Is there a pay plan? How do you make money with this?
Yeah, so for individual business users, because we can sell it either to individual users or to companies or organizations. So for an individual business user, you're gonna pay a one-time setup fee, which is normally $250, but we've got it set right now at an introductory price, because we just launched the business product last year. And it's $149 one-time setup fee, which includes all design of your backgrounds, incorporation of your logo, retouching of your photo. I mean, it basically, if you've ever designed a website, you have to build a lot of graphics and content and stuff for a website. So it's the same kind of work that you would have to do there, except that it's all, a part of the SavvyCard template. So for $149, you get everything set up, and our customer success team, which is all based in the United States, they're all live reps that you can get on the phone with, that'll answer your questions and walk you through getting your card all set up and your buttons turned on and everything linked up. If you want to add videos or links to other content like podcasts and stuff, they'll get all of that stuff set up for you. So that's $149. And then you pay $9.99 a month. So once you have your SavvyCard set up, for $120 a year, less than $120 a year, you're going to have this system. And if you think about the cost of business cards and the cost of going out and printing other materials that you might hand out to people, as a part of sales process prospecting, this is going to be equal to or less than those costs. And our experience, like I've been using SavvyCard for 9 years now, and every person that I've met in the last 9 years is in a database in my SavvyCard account, which when you hand out business cards, that doesn't happen. So it's a really powerful system for the price. And then if you have a business, you've got a bunch of salespeople that you want to get it's all discounted from there. So we can either provide it individually, or if somebody's listening and they want to deploy this for their team, then they'll get a tiered discount based on the number of people that are on their team.
Fantastic. Well, this sounds like a powerful tool that everyone needs to be using, especially, I mean, there's so many things that we could have touched on that we didn't like. What this reminds me of is how there's more and more of these kind of link page services where like Instagram only gives you one link in your bio, and you might be set up on 10, 12 different social media platforms, and it helps to have all these linked together to some kind of a hub where people can see your picture and to see about if you have a podcast or see your contact info. And this even serves that functionality. So you have the business card aspect, you have the connecting your social media aspect, you have the follow-up aspect. So anyone and everyone out there who feels like you've been missing out on some of these people you've come in contact with, so that person that you met at that trade show 6 months ago and you spoke with them for 5 seconds and you followed up and they didn't remember you because you didn't have this business card, you didn't have your photo, you didn't have the follow-up. These are all things that you need to be implementing if you're serious at all about your business in real estate or any other industry. And in fact, if you do it outside of real estate, maybe you'll even be ahead of the game because these other people won't be as dialed in as you. So where's the place to go here, David? SavvyCard.com?
Yeah, just go to SavvyCard.com. There's 3 different products that are currently offered. There's SavvyCard for real estate, there's SavvyCard for business, and then there's SavvyCard for enterprise. And, SavvyCard for enterprise is if you're head of sales for Boeing or something like that, then you want to click on that. But in most cases, people are going to want to click on SavvyCard for business or SavvyCard for real estate if you're a real estate professional. And the intent over time is that we'll start to roll out SavvyCard for different industries, just like we've done with real estate. So if you get on now with SavvyCard for business, then if we come out with SavvyCard for insurance next year, which incorporates insurance tools into the card like we've done with real estate, then you'll be one of the first, you'll be one of the first people that has an opportunity to get access to those industry specific tools. So your point about people sort of being early adopters and getting the benefit of this that's a really powerful point.
I agree. So if you out there in podcast land would like to be an early adopter, which you should, the place to go is SavvyCard. That's SavvyCard.com. And thanks, David, for stopping by and taking the time.
No worries. Thanks, Robert. Talk to you soon.
Need more guests for your podcast? How about a podcast that's set up in the first place? Schedule a call with us right now by visiting doneforyoupodcasting.com.